There are many dogs that struggle with sound sensitivity. I think it's actually one of the most challenging behavioral problems that we see in practice. And often it can take a lot of energy, time, effort to help a sound sensitive dog. And it has such a dramatic impact on their welfare because a dog that's constantly scared of sounds really doesn't have a life. So what we often see that these dogs, they become scared to go outside. They don't want to go for walks anymore. Perhaps they become scared of the dark because they've learned to associate that darkness or the outside is where these scary sounds happen. So right now we've gotten a little pup. It's a little Sheltie pup. So this is really close to my heart at the moment. And because I'm a scientist, I dived into the literature and looked at the studies where they tried to prevent sound sensitivity. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what these studies found and also how I'm going to prevent, hopefully, sound sensitivity in my own pup. We've got a Sheltie pup, so a Shetland sheepdog, and these breeds or these dogs, this breed is known to have issues with sound sensitivity. They are very precious type of dog. They're quite sensitive. They don't like strangers. They don't like sounds. They spook quite easily. But on the other hand, they are super, super social and super fun to be around. So this is super relevant for me at the moment. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So what do the studies show? Unfortunately, there are not that many yet. A couple of studies have been done, and the consensus from what I can see right now is that it's important to expose the pups early. So they already start when the pups are at the breather. And there's one study by Alves, and they exposed police dogs to all kinds of stimuli. So they already had a very enriched protocol with these dogs. So it was tactile stimulation, all kinds of socializations to people, to other dogs, etc. And then on top of that, they put random sounds throughout the day. So these were recording of police sirens, which these were for working dogs. So that makes sense to do that in this particular case. There was also gunshots, all kinds of sounds. And I didn't specifically see if there was any checks done of how loud these sounds were and if the pups could cope with them. In this study, the results were quite mixed. Actually, it turned out that the results were more in favor of the control treatment. So the puppies that were not exposed to the extra sounds, it seemed that those pups handled a loud sound around 7 weeks much better than the sound socialization pups did. So this is important because it seems that if you just randomly expose pups to sounds throughout the day without looking at their body language, without checking if they can actually cope with it, there's a risk that we overwhelm them. And if it's too scary and too much, then rather than habituating or desensitizing the pup, we end up sensitizing them, which means they get more fearful rather than less. And it could be that that is exactly what happened here in this study. There's also a different study. I can't pronounce the name, but I'll post it in the link down below. And here they did it a little bit more carefully. And they did not wait either. They started right after birth. They didn't care if their eyes vision was developed or anything like that. No, they just got right into it. So they exposed the pups to all kinds of sounds. So also dropping things, recorded sounds, radio, TV, you name it. And what was really interesting in this study is that they didn't do that randomly. So they had a very detailed plan, and they also looked at each pup's behavior. So the moment the pup showed a startle, they came in with a little toy or a treat and then looked if the pup recovered quickly. So if they did, fine, great, and they kept going. Maybe increase the intensity a little bit more. But if the pup showed fear, so there was maybe a freeze, the pup tried to get away, didn't engage with the toy or the treat, they would reduce the intensity and try again until they got the right response. So this tells us something really critical. We really have to go with the individual pup's behavior, what they show us, so we don't end up overwhelming them. So what you should be looking for is a little startle, which is like a effect. And then you need to see if you can still engage the puppy for a toy or perhaps a treat, and do this really, really careful and really gently. So I'm going to show you a little video of my own pup here. and what that looks like. Oh, what is that? What's that? Yes. That's the key. There you go. Yes. Yes. Oh. Shall we do it again? 1, 2. Yes, puppy. Yes. Yes. So. Yes. So. Let's go down. Yeah, so what you saw happen here is that the pup jumps up right away. So he's sitting with my daughter in the beginning, and you see he's alert, right? He notices it. So it's definitely triggering something. This sound is something dropping, and it's movement, and it's sudden, and it's unpredicted. So anything that's a little bit scary. I didn't go with a firework bang or something really loud. It's just a key dropping, and that's stuff that happens throughout the day in our house anyway, all the time. So he immediately comes and checks it out, which is, of course, what we want, because that means he's curious, not fearful. And then I go in with a little toy, and he immediately engages with me. I also give him a little treat just to build this really early positive association with mild sounds and something nice happening after the sound, like a treat or a toy, which teaches the puppy really well. That was a bit loud and a bit strange and a bit sudden, but look, something nice afterwards happened. So this is something called counter conditioning. And this teaches the pup to, well, not only sounds are okay, but sounds may even be fun because I get to play or get a little treat. But what's even more important, that he recovered super quickly. So he engaged with me almost immediately, right? If you don't see the puppy engaging, they back off, they run away, they try to hide, then it was too much. When that happens, you have to reduce the volume or choose perhaps a different stimulus and try again, and then look for a short startle or some alertness, and then the puppy immediately has to engage with you with the toy or the treat. That way you stay below threshold, and it's a much safer to approach this kind of sound socialization. And then, of course, you don't want to use just one type of sound. This was just a key dropping, but maybe you also want to start with other kinds of household sounds, like the feeding bowl dropping or the vacuum cleaner turning on, right? So you maybe want to turn it on for just half a second from the other side of the room and look at the pup's reaction. That way they become very closely engaged with the sounds. And you can also think about turning on the radio suddenly. And you can think about dropping something with a different texture, maybe something plastic and then something metal. But what is really important is to look at the puppy's reaction and look at how quickly they recover, because that seems to be the critical key here. And if you want to know more, I'll be opening up my full noise phobia course soon. You can already sign up to the waitlist here below. I'll link it in the description. And in that full noise phobia course, I will teach you how to handle noise phobic dogs. So this is really, once the dog has developed a problem, what can we do as dog behaviorists, dog professionals, to help clients that come to us with dogs with quite severe phobias? So in this course, we go through the ins and outs of everything to do with fear, with stress, with the neurobiology behind it, all the learning processes that play a role. We talk even about the gut-brain axis. I'm an active researcher in that area. So how do the microbes in the gut influence the behavior and how we can change that for the benefit? We talk about coping, stress coping. How do we teach good coping skills? How do we build stress resilient dogs? We talk about short-term solutions for noise phobia. So what can you do if there's a thunderstorm tonight, right? How can you set that up in terms of management? And what kind of tools and support can you use to help the dog go through that event without sensitizing the fear even further? And of course, we have exposure therapy. So here we're using prediction error learning to teach the dog that sounds are in fact safe. And research shows that this is the most effective way to reduce fears and phobias, not just in dogs, but also in other species. And then I'll show you some of my own casework. We'll work through that. I'll show you step by step exactly how you can set that up in practice. So go to the link, sign up to the waitlist. You're not committing to anything by signing up, and I will see you then.